Good evening, everyone, to ANC3F's October regular meeting. It's October 17, 2023. We're starting at 7 p.m. And I am just calling this, just wanted to say hello, and I'm calling this meeting to order. I will start with a roll call. And I'll start with ANC3F 01, our newly elected commissioner, Commissioner Marilyn Slatnick.
Hello, here.
Thank you. Commissioner 3F02, Commissioner Terry Hewitt.
Present.
3F03, Commissioner Mitch Bayer.
Here.
3F4, 3F05, Commissioner James Tenderick.
Present.
And 3F06, Commissioner Courtney Carlson cannot make it tonight. Moving on to the next item of the agenda is adoption of tonight's agenda. I would like to make a motion to add Councilmember Matt Fruman, who would do a presentation on the Intelsat building. And I want to put him at the end of the information item. So after the Office of Neighborhood Engagement and Safety.
I second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstain? Thank you. And that motion passes, and that motion passes with the changes. Now, I'm just making a motion now to just adopt the agenda with all the changes. Are there any other changes, actually?
I motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? And the motion passes. Moving on to the next item on the agenda is approval of ANC3F meeting minutes for September 19, 2023.
I move approval.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, any opposed? Any abstentions? And the motion passes. Moving on to the next item of the agenda is approval of ANC3F's quarterly report.
I
move-
move we accept the quarterly report.
I second it.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? And the motion passes.
Chairman David, what I'm going to do is make an appointment with you and the secretary to have signatures on the report sometime later this week,
Okay,
so that I can file it.
okay. Moving on to the next item on the agenda is a vote on allocation of funds, 1,200 for ANC3F monthly public meeting, add to Forest Hills Connections.
I move we allocate the money.
Any second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? And the motion passes. I just wanted to note that the ONC did say that it cannot be a static ad. It has to identify, our meeting location, time, date each month. So just to make, because the ONC is not shy about taking money away from commissions. So just want to make sure we're in line with the rules. The next item on the agenda is just regular updates. Commissioner updates and announcements. I will start with the latest update. We had an election on Saturday for ANC3F 01, which was Ryan Kudemis Bernoulli's seat, and Marilyn Slatnick won. And Marilyn, would you like to introduce yourself? This is your first meeting tonight.
Well, hello. It'd be really nice to see everybody in person. I've seen two of you before, so that's great. But I'm going to be learning. Thank you for being here for me. And I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. Commissioner Terry Hewitt, 3F02. Any updates on announcements?
I actually haven't. Well, the Chesapeake Saratoga is planning to have a march on the 24th of October for Breast Cancer Awareness Week. I'm waiting to get more updates on that. And that's all I have at the moment.
Okay. 3F03, Commissioner Mitch Bayer.
I have no updates at this time. Thank you.
Commissioner James Tenderick.
Two quick updates. Just as a reminder for those that typically walk through the Howard Law campus, the West Campus, make sure that you follow the sidewalk along the main parking lots, just to make sure that there's ease of access for everyone for public use. And then also there will be a meeting on October 26, 2023, for the DC Smart Street Lighting Project. So it's going to start coming towards 3 and 4. So if you want to hear more about that, you can attend the meeting 7:30 at the Cleveland Park Library on October 26th. But that's it.
Thank you, Commissioner James Tenderick. One update I wanted to make too is DDOT has made some updates to their 311. So just check out our social media page, but you know, they've made it easier to be able to make any signage requests. Moving on to the next item of the agenda is committee reports. Is anyone from Streets and Sidewalks?
Hi, Chair David. Hi, everyone. It's Paul Harrison.
Oh, good to see you. How are you?
Well, thank you. And my apologies for missing last week's call. I was so fixated on ANC work that I looked at my watch and said it was 10 o'clock and realized I forgot the meeting. So apologies for not being here last week. Very quickly, committee met last week, a small group of us, although we have been working on a number of specific issues. Particularly excited to have the new crosswalk at 32nd and Albemarle now complete, raised crosswalk. And that's an indication of what DDOT can do when we work with them to get it done. Thanks to Commissioner Hewitt and Carlson for helping with that and pushing it forward. We do continue to talk to community members on 35th and now Chesapeake about issues that they've observed, particularly in places where cars go around corners and we don't have the right sidewalk infrastructure. So one of the issues that we had been discussing in the committee, and we hope to come back to you all about, is a resolution to DDOT that they do some systemic traffic calming planning in both Wakefield and Forest Hills. So we're not just chasing problems, but they're actually figuring out what they need to do, particularly since we do not rank high on the traditional traffic safety analysis systems that they have, which really are focused on places where people are getting hit all the time, not places where people may not be walking or enjoying the pedestrian environment as much because of the chance that somebody will speed through. So we need them to take a better look at that. With that in mind, I wanted to identify one key point that our rep, Christian Pinero, has been hitting us with, which is that there is now the traffic safety dashboard. It's a TSI dashboard where you can go and look and see the status of traffic safety issues that you have filed through 311. And I don't know, can I share screen for 1 second?
Yes.
So this is what this dashboard looks like, everyone. And you can see here in this red outline is ANC3F. You can sort by ward, you can sort by ANC, I think single member districts as well. And you can see where up here where there's areas that are under investigation. You can, the little triangles are ones where they've gotten a complaint, but they haven't started to do anything about it yet. And the ones where they have a little construction icon are where they're actually working. So for example, you can see here 32nd and Albemarle. But this does allow you to get a sense of whether a traffic safety or pedestrian experience issue has actually been raised into DDOT's to DDOT's attention and what the status of it is. So I wanted to highlight this for folks. I can post a link to this site in the chat if folks want to look at it. And as always, encourage new members of the Streets and Sidewalk Committee to reach out to me to be added to our mailing list and announcements for the next meetings. I will post my email in the chat as well. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for that update. Okay, you're putting it, do you mind just saying your email just for this?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm at Paul at 3lobos. That's the number 3, L as in Larry, O, B as in boy, OS.com.
Thank you, Paul. Moving on to the next committee is Parks and Watershed Committee.
Commissioner, Chair David, I do have a short report. It seems that the 2 new houses on Linian, I believe that they're 4330 and 4350 respectively as addresses, are I won't say leaking, that's the wrong word. Their water is running off of their properties into Linian Park. And during some of the recent storms, that has been a little bit problematic in the park, eroding away some of the trail and some of the adjacent areas. It's been strong enough. I'm starting to talk with DOEE about that particular situation, and the committee will be handling that in the future. So I wanted to bring it to the attention of the entire commission.
Thank you. Thank you for that update. The next committee report is schools and universities.
Hey everyone. We did not have a meeting last month, so we're going to have a meeting this month next week. We're going to discuss about schools from UDC, merch, Hearst, and then also the big announcement with the Intelsat building and next steps for that. So if you want to get involved, you can email me at 3f05@anc.dc.gov.
Thank you, Commissioner Sanderick. And then the next committee is housing and neighborhoods.
Thank you, Commissioner David. Thank you, Chair David. The only update I have at the moment is, as I mentioned, and my apologies for being a bit preemptive. Saratoga Chesapeake apartment building, the property management is planning a march to UDC to promote breast cancer awareness. The date at the moment is October 24th, and it will include working in collaboration with, and please forgive me, I don't know the name of the church off of Chesapeake. They will have food trucks there. So once I have an update, I'll get that out. But otherwise, I do not have an update at the moment. Other additional updates at the moment.
Thank you, Commissioner Hewitt. And that's all for the community, the committee reports. Moving on to the next item on the agenda is community forum. I will start with UDC.
Thank you, Chair David. Commissioner Hewitt, if you can, you said that they're marching to UDC. Are they doing something on campus, or is that's just the end part? of the march?
As of the last conversation, which was a few days ago, that would be the end part. I know that Miss Healy, property manager, had planned to reach out to UDC as well as MPD and DDOT. So I haven't received an update since then, but I will find out tomorrow.
Thank you. If you can have her maybe contact me and I'll get her in contact with our police department. It's just important that they know if we're going to have a large group of people on campus, even if it's just.
Of course. And actually, I did give her your contact information, but I will make certain, I'll make certain the two of you are connected.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
So just a few things. The food court is up and running. We have seen a lot of the community eating, sitting in the cafeteria. We are excited about that and hope that more community members come out and eat at the cafeteria, or the food court, I should call it, not a cafeteria. ANC3F, some ANC3F commissioners met with President Eddington last week. The meeting went very well. He was excited to meet the commissioners. And we have a group of people who are working. Obviously, a lot of people want to talk to the president and meet him. We're working on hopefully either getting him to an ANC meeting this year, but if he can't make it to any of the last two, we'll definitely have him at the beginning of the year out and talking to the community, as well as some community forums that we'll be doing with him as well. So the community will have an opportunity to get updates on what his visions, his missions for the university is, and the direction that his administration is taking us. So we're excited about that. It's really, well, it doesn't affect the community, but it is important for the community to know we are having some issues in the law school with the elevators. So right now, our law school classes and our professors have been moved to other locations on campus. And then some classes are going to be hybrid for a couple of weeks, I believe. So the law school, if you're trying to go into it, is pretty much closed off right now. Let's see. Of course, we know the hearing for the archives in Building 41 is coming up on October 26th with the Office of Zoning. And then lastly, the next Community Campus Task Force meeting will be Thursday, November 16th at 6:30 p.m. So those are all the updates that I have. And I'll make sure to get the information out to the community, well, to the ANC and to Forest Hill Connection and Van Ness Main Street to distribute, and everyone on the listserv.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you. Thank you, Juanita, for your update.
Thank you, Commissioner David, or Chair David.
Thank you. Moving on to the next, well, just the next update will be from Van Ness Main Street.
Thank you, Chair David. This is Gloria Garcia, Van Ness Main Street. As most of you know, we carried out Art All Night on Friday night, September 29th. I want to thank the entire community for showing up. Also want to especially thank the ANC for the support off your timeline. So that was very much appreciated to get the support from the ANC. Also want to thank UDC. We couldn't do it without UDC. So I really want to shout out to the UDC police, the UDC events people. It really is a team effort. Our next events, just to circle out with events, we have Spooktacular at the Forest Hills Playground on October 29th. We're expecting like 400 families, so that's exciting. We also have our holiday market pop-up on December 2nd. And for all of you that are followers of Kathy Sykes and her plantings, those start on November 14th. On the business side, most of you must have heard the exciting news that we have Ashok Bajaj, who is behind Bombay Club and Rasika and Sababa in Cleveland Park, is coming to the old Uptown space. Half of it, the left-hand side, the other two sides, I believe we're getting one other business, two more businesses, and one is already in the works. So more to come on that, but that's very exciting for us. And the others are on track. The one at the old Acacia as well as Whale Tea. Hopefully we will be seeing them next year. Mom's Organic, you may have noticed a lot of movement inside now. They are hopefully going to be here next month with an update, but we are working with them on some of their permit issues. So kind of exciting. We did lose Laliguras, which was very sad. And it was sad for me because I really had a good relationship with Dawa. But just so you know, he closed both of his restaurants. He's moving on to other business opportunities. So he closed Glover Park, and now he closed this one. So if anybody else has any questions, that's it for us. But again, thank you to the community. We couldn't do what we do without all of you.
Any questions? Seeing none, thank you very much. Gloria, it's good to see you. It's been a long time.
Yeah, sorry, couldn't make September, but I
No.
do see a couple hands up. I don't know if it's for me, but I see Marjorie's got her hand up. Marjorie Share. I don't know if that's for
okay.
me or.
Okay,
Ye-
Marjorie.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. And thanks for that, Gloria. You do such a fantastic job. One question I had is about the Burger King. Yeah, is Compass Coffee still thinking about it, or can you tell us this?
Last time I reached out to him, he is, but basically the problem is that the landlord will not come down on rent. So there are no other prospects but Compass. So that's why you haven't seen him back, but he is still interested, Marjorie. It's just right now the rent is way too high.
Is there any incentive that we could help him out with? I don't have anything in mind, but I'm just wondering.
Help who? Him?
Yeah.
Michael?
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know what incentive. I mean, I don't have any cash money to offer him because I mean the rent is definitely too high, and I mean it's over $220,000 for the year. I mean that's just way too high for a coffee, business. The other thing too is that the building has to be completely gutted and retrofitted. It needs a new roof. It needs new air conditioning and heat. I mean, it's been let go for years. So, who's going to do that too? So we have a very difficult landlord owner. But we're trying.
I'm sure you are. Okay, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. And thank you for volunteering, Marjorie. I saw you from a distance as I was running around.
It was a wonderful evening. You're quite welcome.
It was fun. Thank you.
Thank you. The next update is from Ward 3, Councilmember Matt Freeman's office.
Hello, my name is Christian Damiana and I work for Councilmember Matt Freeman. Thank you for having me tonight. I want to start by congratulating Commissioner Slatnick on her recent election. I'm glad she's able to participate tonight. The council member swore her in yesterday. So we're happy to see your ANC is once again full. I have a few quick updates. The council member is actually going to be on later this evening to talk about his recent Intelsat proposal to purchase the Intelsat site, which is an ANC3F. So I will not get into that exciting proposal and will instead focus. We have a workday in the ward happening in Chevy Chase on October 25th. That will be from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. at Bread and Chocolate on Connecticut Avenue. We're going to be joined by representatives from several agencies, everyone you can think of, MPD, DDOT, DOEE, Department of Buildings, DLCP, and Chevy Chase Main Street. I will paste the schedule and all of that information in the chat, but I do hope you can join us, bring your questions, your concerns. It's an opportunity to meet with the council member. Also, the council is back in session after its summer recess. It went back into session on September 15th. Since then, the council member introduced a legislative package to address the legacies of housing segregation in Chevy Chase. So this legislation does three things. It ensures that housing construction in Chevy Chase on its civic core is not delayed by pre-1938 anti-apartment restrictions that were put in place for racist reasons. It does the same thing for all of Rock Creek West planning area, which ANC3F is in. And so the legislation would void any pre-1938 anti-apartment covenant where that would still be allowed by zoning otherwise. So it's not changing current zoning rules, to be clear. And then finally, the third piece of legislation creates a system for people whose homes have racial covenants attached to the deed to remove those deeds. They're no longer legally enforceable, but regardless, no one should have to live in a home where the deed says they're not welcome. So this is just one more way that the council member is working to make Ward 3 more inclusive for all residents. The council member is also very focused on public safety, and he recently co-introduced the Whole Government Response to Crime Act along with council member Robert White. This does several things, but it's primarily focused on using a data-driven approach to improve our public safety efforts, which I know is so important to many of you in 3F. If you have questions about legislation, I encourage you to reach out to Elias Benda. I can put his information in the chat. Other than that, if you have any concerns regarding constituent services, I encourage you to reach out to our office directly. I'll also paste that in the chat, and I am happy to answer any questions should you have them.
Are there any, thank you, Christian. Are there any questions? Commissioners? Community members? Seeing none, thank you so much, Christian. The next update is from CCAN Chesapeake Network.
That would be me, Phil Jacobsburg. May I share my screen? I have a small presentation to show.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So you all should see my screen now. So I'm Phil Jacobsburg. I am with Extinction Rebellion, but also CCAN. And, by day I work as an engineer, and by evening I kind of work as in climate activist issues. And one of the things that's going on in DC is a Stop Project Pipes campaign. And we'll quickly run through a few slides just to talk about what it is and what we're looking to do. If I can get there we go. So just a quick few basics about Project Pipes. I think as many of you might know, the methane pipelines in DC are old, and many are becoming unsafe, and they need repair, and some do need replacement. But WGL wants to replace every pipe in DC over 40 years, starting in 2014, which is back 9 years ago, and spanning all the way through 2054. They are into their third phase, which now they're requesting $670 million for the next 4 or 5 years. The total cost of the project is $4.5 billion. When you divide that by the 160,000 ratepayers, you get $27,000 per ratepayer. And the $4.5 billion, just is to understand, is a floor number, because essentially it's at a 9 or 10% discount rate. So think about a mortgage at $4.5 billion, how much you actually end up paying for that mortgage. So what do we consider wrong with Project Pipes? Why do we oppose it? Well, first of all, it blocks DC's climate goals. DC has a climate pledge of net carbon neutrality by 2045. This program extends way beyond that and puts infrastructure in the ground that would be stranded because you don't want any emissions. Second point here is that methane is already bad enough. If you burn it, it creates lots of CO2. It's absolutely horrific if it leaks, and it's leaking all over the place. It's 80 times worse than CO2 as a greenhouse gas. So I would encourage you, by the way, to look up any of the things that I'm talking about tonight. And finally, I think anybody that's really paying attention knows that our future is electrification. We can electrify all of our appliances, whether they be furnaces, whether they be stoves. Actually, right now we can do that. We don't have to wait, and it is happening. Our stand is repair the pipes. Don't replace them unless it's necessary. If they're dangerous, if they're unsafe, of course you got to replace it. But if you can repair it because we're not going to be using methane anymore. So Second issue is energy equity. So ratepayers bear the burden of project pipes, those 160,000 ratepayers, they are going to be paying for this project. And as DC electrifies, households will be moving off, wealthier households will be moving off. So that number of people that will have to be bearing that burden will go down, which means their costs are going to go up. And as I think we can all project at this point is that who's gonna end up holding the bag at the end of the day, it's going to be low income residents. Finally, public health is really an issue with methane. When you burn it, it releases toxic gases, it causes asthma in children, and even before it's burnt, it leaks in your home. It's not a good, it's not something that you really want, a pollutant that you want in your home. And then, that's pretty much it. I'm with Extinction Rebellion, but you can see all these other environmental groups that are working together on this. The entire environmental community in DC is pretty much in lockstep that there's no point in moving forward with Project Pipes. That money can be much better spent on moving toward electrification. And I'll end that right there. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. Are there any questions? And we did let you know, Phil, that we'll be trying to get Washington Gas on as well to clarify this issue as well and what they plan to do to remedy this. Are there any questions from commissioners? Any questions from the community? Amy Schesheim.
Thank you. So how do renters factor into this, since we have no control over our energy source?
Mm-hmm.
I guess the way we pay is through the rents that we pay, but in my building there is gas, our stove is gas, and we have no control over what kind of energy source we have. So how do we become part of this conversation?
Yeah, so first of all, gas is not going away in the immediate future, right? All we're asking is don't start a project or don't continue on with a project that's hugely expensive, that's going to build infrastructure that essentially makes no sense for our future. It's going to be stranded assets. As far as what you can do is what we're asking each ANC to do is to sign a resolution to the council to say, we oppose moving ahead with Project Pipes. And we want you to continue repairing the pipes as the district moves forward with electrification. So that goes for renters that really can't control this directly, but it goes for individual homeowners and businesses that can control it more directly in where they work. So the idea here is that you don't get stuck with a higher bill for something you can't control.
And does Project Pipes have anything to do with whether the pipes that are lead are being replaced?
No, that's a water issue.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Yes.
Thank you. And thank you, Phil, so much for coming and making this presentation. I've been hearing about Project Pipes, but I didn't really understand it until now. So I really appreciate your coming out and telling us. And I really hope that the ANC
Ooh, Kesha, are you frozen? You're frozen. You're frozen. We'll come back to you because you're frozen. Oh, hello. I mean, what am I saying? Hello? All right, now can you say it? Can you repeat? We hear you now, but you were frozen for a second. You said you hope that the ANC.
Sorry. I hope that the ANC does pass a resolution opposing Project Pipes, as Phil suggests, because climate change is such a serious issue that many of us in the ANC take seriously. And that is one of the reasons many of us have been very concerned about the proposed demolition of Building 41. And I hope to see the ANC taking climate change more seriously as it acts on various proposals in our ANC. Thank you again, Phil.
Thank you, Kesh. We're gonna go to Marjorie, then Paul, and then we're gonna close out the questions. Paul, Phil will leave his contact so you can follow up with him. Marjorie and then Paul. Thank you.
Yeah, just a quick question. What is the method for repair? I seem to recall reading that it was UVCIPP. Is it that or something else?
Oh, I'm not qualified to answer that question. So, I mean, that's something I could research, but I don't know the answer to that.
If you could, that would be great.
Okay, sure.
Thank you. Because there are sometimes some environmental impacts from repair as well. So just wondered what.
Yeah.
what it
Yeah, I mean,
was.
we look at this point, we do look at repair as it's a Band-Aid as we move into the future, right? It's just like, don't start over.
Sure. Thank
but
you.
I can do that, sure.
Thank you. Just very quickly, if the ANC does pass a resolution, first of all, I'd be in support of this, but also I would encourage a push for Washington Gas to publicize its system for identifying where pipes do need repair and making sure the budget is there for them, because as Phil, I think you mentioned, methane leaks are disastrous for the climate. So we don't want this kind of shutting down this system to lead to a system that isn't maintained and causes a near-term problem.
No, absolutely not. No, I mean, I think we're all in agreement with that. Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
I will put my contact information into the chat right now.
Yes, please. And if just for this recording, if you can just verbally give your contact.
Sure. So you can reach me directly at pjacobsberg@gmail.com. So that's PJAKOBSBERG@gmail.com.
Thank you, Phil. And yes, we will try to get Washington Gas on as well to be able to answer those real specific questions and to see what type of changes they can make as well. So thank you for bringing the issue up to the ANC, Phil.
Sure.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Now moving on to the next item of the agenda is the information items. So Lieutenant Williams is she's out sick, so we're not going to do MPD update tonight, but definitely go to DC Crime Cards at crimecards.dc.gov to see any just any of the incidences in the area. And you can also just you can just directly email Lieutenant Williams. So we're going to go to DC Water, but what I do want to mention is, oh, I'm sorry. So there's one more person, Angela Kramer.
Yes, hello, good evening, everybody. I'm Angela Kramer with the Friends of Pierce Mill. My internet connection is a little unstable tonight, so I'm just going to turn off my video. But I wanted to tell everyone about the Mid-Atlantic Grain Fair that we have coming up at Pierce Mill this weekend. It's Sunday, October 22nd from 10 to 4. It'll be at Pierce Mill, Picnic Grove #1, and on Shoemaker Street Northwest. And I'd like to thank ANC3F for supporting the street closure on Shoemaker Street with a grant. We're really excited about this event. Some folks on this call may recall buying flour at Pierce Mill back in the 90s. Well, you're once again going to be able to buy flour near Pierce Mill because we're going to have a Mid-Atlantic grain stand with fresh farms where you'll be able to buy local.
Angela, you cut off.
Atlantic craft activities and lots of fun things for kids to do. And we'll also be hosting with UDC Causes a Mid-Atlantic Grains Conference on Monday, October 24th. Monday, October 23rd. I will put all this information in the chat, but I would like to thank again the ANC and also UDC Causes for your support of this event. We think it's going to be a really beautiful day in Rock Creek Park. If anyone is interested in volunteering, we are still looking for a few volunteers. So I will put my contact information in the chat as well. And one last thing, we anticipate a lot of folks coming down for the grain fair. So if you're able to walk down to Pierce Mill or bike or hike, we encourage folks to take alternative methods of transportation. And we hope to see you in Rock Creek Park on Sunday. And if anyone has any questions, please let me know. I'll put all my information in the chat. Thank you so much, Chair David, for the time. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you. Is there any information on a website?
Oh, yes, I'll put our website in the chat as well. So there's a website with the Common Grain Alliance. They're our partner in planning this event, and I will put that and my contact information in the chat.
All right, thank you for that. And I also see Linda Greenan. Did you want to give an update, Linda?
Hi, thank you very much. Very quickly, my name is Linda Greenan. I work at PEPCO here tonight to tell you about an open house that we're having on Saturday, November 4th from 11 to 1 at our PEPCO Edison Gallery, which is on 8th Street, the number 8th Street, 708. It's right around the corner from Martin Luther King Library, right up the street from the Portrait Gallery. And the purpose of the open house is to walk through with you we had filed in April a request with the Public Service Commission for a rate increase. And so we want to educate folks about what's in there. It's a lot about helping the city make its climate goals, helping us harden the grid so that we can go to carbon neutral by 2045. And so we want to have an open house and have people participate, understand what it is. And so that's what it is. It's Saturday, November 4th, 11 to 1. And we do have flyers, but there wasn't, they left off the information about free parking. So they're being redone. Once I get them, I'll send them to all of the commissioners. So that's it. Thank you very much for the time.
Thank you. And if you can put your contact in the chat as well, and if you can verbally give your contact as well.
Sure. It's linda.greenan@pepco.com.
Thank you very much.
I'll put it in the chat right now.
All right, thank you.
Thanks for the opportunity.
No problem. And now moving to our information item, and we'll be because MPD is not here tonight, we'll go directly to DC Water. And I just wanted to give just a brief brief template or just outline of how this is going to go, because our information items tend to get pretty people become pretty passionate. And so just to keep everything in order, just letting everyone know to just really let's respect each other and the commissioners and me as well as chairing the meeting as well. So, you know, questions will come from the commissioners first, and I'll just make sure each person can just ask one question so that no one is just, you know, just kind of taking over the meeting. And then we'll go to the community. But if I only have time for 3 questions, that's what I'll have to do, because I do make sure that those who are presenting are able to respond to questions. But everyone who presents, they always answer questions in the chat as well. And they also always leave their contact in the chat as well. So I just don't want anyone to think that this meeting, you know, being recorded is the only method to express any feelings that you have about anything that's being said. You can reach out directly to the presenter. You can reach out directly to all the ANC commissioners. So if I have to cut anything short is because we got to get through the meeting, and we just can't let one person just have 20 minutes to just say whatever it is they want to say. There are other ways to communicate. So I just ask for everyone to be respectful. And so with that, I will pass it on to Commissioner Mitchell Bayer.
I'll just pass it along to Emmanuel and let the DC Water people do their presentation. I have a few questions that I've already given to Emmanuel, and if necessary, I might need to follow up, but I'll let Emmanuel go and see whether he answers the questions that I have and the community have. So with that, I'll turn it to you, Emmanuel, for the presentation.
Thanks, Commissioner Bayer. In the interest of time, I'm going to have Jarrell jump right into it.
Okay, perfect. Good evening, commissioners and community. We'll provide a brief update on the Soapstone Valley project. Here's our agenda for the night. We'll bypass that. I did want to take a look at this page here and show you all the updated sort of work progress map. As you can see, the dotted yellow line has kind of been extended from where we completed the work at Site 4 all the way up to Site 1, and that kind of indicates that SHAT 6 through 9 that was installed since the last time we met. And then also the green dotted line running through the pipe associated with Audubon Terrace. That just indicates we have completed our CCTV of that portion of the sewer line. Moving along, I think we're all familiar with the project benefits. I'll dive right into the meat of things, our construction status and current schedule. So basically this week, we were tentative to do a lateral launch along Audubon Terrace and also a sewer line cleanout. We're currently reviewing the launch plan for the segment that ties into the Van Ness area. Also reviewing our Lenore Lane pipe conditions. So the team just taking a look at those existing conditions there to develop a work plan. We're currently reviewing the CCTV from the pipeline associated with Park Connecticut. So that's being reviewed by the project designer in DC Water. Also developing a launch plan for the work required to install SHAT 10. So basically that plan is still in progress. We're waiting on finalization. We're working with our contractors there. And then also developing that launch plan for the upcoming work on Audubon Terrace. And we will be alerting those homeowners and impacted stakeholders when at work as we develop that plan, make sure they have ample notice when that work is to take place. And then also we've been continuing manhole rehabilitation work at various sites. And we're currently reviewing the post CCTV footage from the CIPP installation for SAT 6 through 9. Also the daily reports for SAT 6 through 9. We plan on getting those out to DOEE and also sharing it with the ANC 3F commissioners. University of Texas is currently reviewing those. So once we get through this review process, you'll have them in your inbox, and we'll be sure that they get posted to the website. Next week, the week of October 23rd, we'll be continuing manhole rehabilitations through the park. Also replacing the liner at manhole 10442. That's located in Site 3. The contractor also continued grouting laterals in between manholes, so some touch-up work And for the week of October 30th, some of these activities are tentative, just based on some other activities. We'll continue the manhole rehabilitation work and then also begin developing a plan to line a segment of pipe that touches Lenore Lane. This is just another look at the sewer bypass map. We'll maintain, the bypass will stay in this location until we complete all of the manhole rehabilitation work in the area. And then once we relocate for the other shots, we will make sure we get an updated map and inform the community. Stakeholder engagement, we'll make sure we maintain providing you all with regular updates, also sending out our weekly updates to our distribution list, continue taking feedback from neighbors. We did have a chance to meet with the Park Connecticut apartments to take a look at that dog run area that some concerns was raised about for shot 10. So we are a ways out from doing that work, but we do have a direct line of contact. We'll work with the building to ensure that area is blocked off. We provide some sort of barrier from the work zone. Also, we met with the head of the Franklin Montessori School just to discuss recess operations when we perform the work at shot 10. I think we are all good there, but we'll still keep everyone in the loop and informed once that work plan is in place. Here's the way to contact the project team. Feel free if you would like to join our weekly updates. Please send an email to adme@soapstone.info@dcwater.com, and we send out regular schedule updates so you could be in tune to what's happening in the field. Also, we have a 24-hour project hotline, which is 202-301-8058. And in the interest of time, I'll open it up to questions, any questions you may have.
Thank you, Jarrell. Commissioner Bear.
Jarrell and Emmanuel, I have a couple questions for you, please. You indicated that the Lenore Lane lateral will be started and done during the week of October the 30th. Is that correct?
Commissioner Bear, no, that's not correct. We're still doing a pipe assessment. What that means is we're trying to look at the condition of the pipe so IPR can come up with a plan. So we're not there yet, but we're gonna let you know.
Okay.
Once we finish reviewing the pipe.
Excuse me, Peter. I'm sorry. Okay, so are you estimating that shot 10 and then the Lenore Lane shot will also be done in November?
Let me just give you a heads up. Right now, Joro, can you go back to that map, the map number 3, the project background map? Okay. Commissioner Beer, so this is where we are right now. For short 10, we have a steep drop, which is about 50 feet. So we have 2 issues there. One, we met with NPS 2 weeks ago on how to cross that stream. NPR didn't like the plan that the IPR put together. So IPR is now revising that plan. So we can't do short 10 right now until National Park Service approve that plan. So what we're probably going to do, we met with Will on Monday. We're probably going to do the way things stands right now. We're probably going to do Audubon before we do all these sidelines because of the issue that I just brought up. So we will finalize all this stuff we're meeting with IPR tomorrow to kind of finalize all this remaining work. So we'll be able to let you know, Emmanuel will let you know which one we're gonna do first. But we're leaning of going straight to Audubon right now because of the issues that we're having with Short 10. You know, Short 10 is having about 50 feet drop. So IPI came back to us and they want to do it. They're presenting another way to do it, to do this lining work. And we asking our engineers to take a look at it, whether that makes sense or not. So that might delay Short 10 for a little bit while before we figure out what to do with Short 10. But in the meantime, we will probably move to Audubon. And we're probably going to need your help because Audubon is going to be different. We're going to be shutting out their water and their sewer. So we going to need to start engaging with those people living on Audubon. Once we decided to go there first. So that's the reason why we can't give you any timeline when we're going to do Lenore, Park Connecticut, or Van Ness. So that's the issue we're facing right now.
Okay, Peter, I will help you coordinate a meeting with the folks on Audubon Terrace when you are ready to talk with them. I will ask that we actually have a meeting with those people, not to have a call, because there's only about 11 families there, and they would like to see you guys in person, just as the people in Lenore Lane would like to see you guys in person. And there's only a handful of people up there on Lenore Lane. So I'll wait till you guys are ready to talk to us, and let me know when that happens. I don't have any further questions, Chair David.
Thank you. Marjorie is next.
Hi, everybody. It sounds like you're doing a wonderful job communicating with the community. So thank you. I have one comment and a question, and it has to do with what I've previously asked, I think probably at every meeting, but I'm wondering when the results of your testing, your monitoring and testing, will be posted on the DC Water website. Last meeting, I asked, and Will Elledge said he seemed surprised that it wasn't posted, and I think one of you said it would be posted, but there's nothing that shows the results of shots 3, 4, and 5. And I understand that 6 through 9 are at University of Texas, so those will probably go up afterwards. But I wondered where those are. And then the second comment is that I was walking through on Audubon Terrace, walking west with a former resident last Thursday or Friday, and the smell was so strong that we had to leave the park. Our eyes watered and we started to get a headache, each of us. So I wondered what that might be what might have caused that. We heard machine noises. We couldn't see anything because we were on the path, but we were on the road. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Nikki, are you on this call, Nikki? I guess not. Marjorie, let me.
I am on the call, Peter. My apologies.
Okay. So, hey, do you know what you guys are doing last Thursday?
The only activities that were taking place last Thursday would have been the manhole rehabilitation or manhole testing.
Okay.
So I don't think that would have generated any sort of odor.
Hey, Marjorie, we're gonna investigate, but I mean, she just said all we're doing was the manhole rehab work. So I wonder what that is. But let me. I will talk to our operation folks, see what else. Then we'll get back to you.
Thank you. And then about the posting of shots 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah, if you remember, the issue was everything was combined together. This is my fault. I was supposed to get with Emmanuel to kind of sort it out. All the information is on our website from 1 through 5. Everything is in there. But what they did, they just cobbled everything together. You know, the lab work with the daily report. So I apologize. I will get with Emmanuel and we straighten that out. All those information are on the website already.
Well, would it be possible? several of us could not find it. If it's possible to maybe pull that out and then send it to the commissioners, send it to Commissioner Bear, perhaps.
Yeah, can
Thank
I ask Commissioner Beer? Because Commissioner Beer all the commissioners already have those information. We send it to them already. The man has already sent it to all the commissioners.
Yeah, I think it was just when it was sent, Peter, it was sent exactly in the same format that's on the website. So as Peter mentioned, to his point, it's all there. It just needs to be sorted out. I certainly am not an engineer by any stretch of imagination. So that reads is I see data, but in terms of organizing how it needs to be organized, that's where I need Peter's input to help me do that. But as you mentioned, we're going to rearrange it. We can resend it to the commissioners once we sort it out. But yeah, everything is there. It's just the way that it was copied together in like the PDFs. It's just some things need to be pulled from one PDF and put to the other piece. And so it just got convoluted in the way that it was just all copied and sent. So it was uploaded in the same way.
Okay, if you could do that, I'd really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any questions from commissioners? Any additional questions from the community? Going once, going twice, seeing none. Thank you, DC Water team.
Thank you.
Thank you. And then now moving on to the next item is the Office of Neighborhood Engagement and Safety with Julia Irving.
Good morning, good evening, rather. Thank you so much, Commissioner, for the commissioners for the opportunity to share about our office. Do I have the opportunity to share my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much. Give me 1 second. Thank you all for your grace as I share my screen. So I am going to take you guys through a journey through the land of the Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement. We are affectionately referred to as the ONES office, though oftentimes we are pronounced as ANSI. We're working on the grammatical error on that. This is just our mission, but in simple terms, we are the premier agency associated with Mayor Bowser to address gun violence in the District of Columbia. And we really do it from a public health approach. Our office is coming up on its 6-year anniversary, and we took a lot of lessons learned from our response during COVID to that public health emergency to incorporate into our public safety response to gun violence in the Columbia. In February of this year, Mayor Bowser appointed Linda Harley Harper as our leader in the Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement. And upon her untimely transition, Quelly Sneed has stepped in to serve as our interim director. And I do bring greetings on behalf of Director Sneed and Deputy Mayor Lindsay Apia on this evening. In the Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement, community members know us for 2 things, either for our violence interruption work that we do or our Pathways program. But before you even get into our Pathways program, we have what's called People of Promise. And this is a collaborative effort with our law enforcement partners to identify individuals who are at highest risk of either being engaged in gun violence and or being perpetrators of gun violence. So at ONES, we work specifically, we are a direct service agency, but we are a direct service agency for victims of gun violence and or perpetrators of gun violence. And so our People of Promise initiative, or POPs, what we do, we're going into the community, we're doing intensive community engagement, figuring out what the community's needs are to identify a carrot stick so that we can begin to build the rapport with key persons in the community to help to give us access to our People of Promise. We typically use our violence interventionists because they have strong roots in those communities to help us meet the Candy Lady and other pillars in the community that can give us access to our People of Promise. Once we're able to successfully engage Our VIs then begin to develop a rapport with them, figuring out what their social needs are so that we can begin to address those low-hanging fruit matters so that ultimately we can engage them to come into our programs at once. Once we have what we call communities of promise, you'll hear promise used a lot. And so you'll notice on the map that we do not have a community of promise in your ward, but do not fret. That does not mean that one's is not in your ward. And I'll get to that a little later. But you see here the communities that we're currently in. These communities were identified using data from MPD, and this was specifically gun violence data. So it was the sounds of gunfire coupled with offenses that occurred with guns and the amount of homicides that occurred in those communities. And these are the communities where our violence interrupters are primarily focused. Now in the district, you hear the term violence interrupter a lot, and that's because the Office of the Attorney General has Cure the Streets that has violence interventionists, which is a Chicago-based model that they brought here to the District of Columbia that is a scientific-based model. But 6 years ago, roughly 6 years ago, Mayor Bowser introduced the Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement, taking upon best practices from California and also Boston to really bring someone that is rooted in the community to not only engage the individuals, but be able to provide red carpet service to truly connect them to city services. And so you see here our different prongs. We focus on community, then people, and then we actually focus on the groups. Once we're able, through our violence interventionists, to get the person of promise into our doors, we then introduce them to our Pathways program, which has been featured on News Channel 9 and Channel 7. Our Pathways program is a 9-week cognitive transformational program. In simple terms, when we have an emergency, we pick up our cell phone or we pick up a phone and we call someone in our network or we call law enforcement. Our people of promise, they have other ways that they deal with their emergencies, usually with guns. And so in 9 weeks, we take them from pulling on a gun to actually using the village that's been created for them and using those numbers in their cell phone to address when they're having a bad day or when they're in conflict with someone. And we're able to do this through a whole of government approach. And so here you'll see a couple of our partners, but our main partners are the Department of Behavioral Health, as well as the Department of Employment Services. And most recently within the Department of Employment Services, the DC Infrastructure Academy. We recently had a Pathways graduation on last Friday. And from that graduation, we had 23 individuals that graduated from the program. Of those 23 individuals, we're really excited to report that 4 of them secured unsubsidized employment. The rest of them, they do have subsidized employment for 6 months, and our team continues to work to identify unsubsidized employment opportunities. For those 4 individuals that have unsubsidized employment opportunities, their average wage is $22.50. In the previous cohort, that was cohort 13, 64% of our participants were able to capitalize on an unsubsidized employment opportunity. And we really want to shout out PEPCO because that was one of our major partners that was able to hire 2 of our individuals, and they started jobs actually about I think it was like September 16th, and they're making $60,000 a year. So we're really excited about that. Once our guys are employed, we do continue to work with them for an additional 18 months because now that we have the economic needs addressed, we want to start to look at the social needs and really make sure that they are stabilized as they reintegrate into society. In addition to our Pathways program, we also have our Family Survivor Support Program, which is our Diamond in the Rough program. When there is a critical incident that involves a homicide in the District of Columbia in one of our communities of promise, our FSS team, they respond, and we stay with that family as they adjust to their new norm, whether it's the trauma from the gun incident, or whether there's mobility challenges that are present, or just the new norm of not having a loved one with you anymore. We're helping you with the burial assistance, we're helping you with grief counseling, and there are some instances, and there's specific criteria where we may have to temporarily relocate a family as we move to stabilize them into a safer environment. And in some instances, those environments will be outside of the District of Columbia. And as you see here, when an incident occurs, this is just our protocol as to how we work with our law enforcement partners to get connected to those families. And then finally, We have our One's Leadership Academy, which we're really excited about. This is a school-based model, and we're in 5 schools in the District of Columbia, Paul Charter School, and then the rest of them are DC public schools. And this is really an opportunity for us to intervene. And the story I like to share is we had a young lady that was attending a middle school. She was an 8th grade student, and she decided she was going to drop out of school. And when we asked her what was she going to do, she said, I'm going to go up to the hospital and I'm going to fill out an application to be a doctor. And so we shared with her that you have to do a little bit more than just fill out an application. And that provided us an opportunity to really help her identify her different strengths, but also the importance of education and how education correlates to what her career goals are, and then really build with her as she navigated through that awkward phase of middle school and adolescence and bullying and how she responded to it. And that young lady has actually become one of the leaders in our program. So we're really excited about that. And we do use food as a carrot stick for those youth, and we provide them with restorative justice. But not only do we work with them during the school year, we actually take them during the summertime, during their summer youth employment experience, and they work with us at One's just to, again, to build upon their leadership skills. And then in addition to that, whenever DCPS is out, we actually run programming specifically for our youth in our OLAP program. And those youth are referred to us through school administrators. If you want to know how to get in contact with anyone at One's, these are our respective leaders and our different programs in One's, and I can definitely share that information in the chat for you. And then for those that are social media savvy, we do encourage you to please follow us on social media. I don't know if we're calling it X or Twitter these days. We're also on Instagram, and a good old-fashioned phone call always works. And I thank you for the opportunity to present. I can now take questions.
Thank you. Thank you for this presentation. And the reason, as you can see, why this presentation is so important, because of this conversation on the youth in DC. And so this gives us an opportunity to just get an idea of what initiatives are being implemented now to try to address those issues. How long has this program been going in DC?
So the Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement has been around for the past 6 years. Cure the Streets has been around for 5 years.
So thank you. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start with commissioners, and then we'll go to the community for questions.
Chair David, I do have a question. Please forgive me. If you could please share your name again, ma'am, with One's.
Sure. My name is Julia Irving. I like Julia though.
Hi, Julia. Thank you so much for your presentation. It's phenomenal. Is there, what's the best way to contact you?
Sure. The best way to contact me is via my mobile number. And I apologize because I didn't share that. I dropped it in the chat. But for those that are listening on the phone, my name is Julia Irving, and I may be reached at 202-836-0895. And you always can reach out to me via email at juliaj.irving@dc.gov. I've previously worked in the district government, so if you do julia.irving, I will not receive that. So please add the J after Julia. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll reach out to you because I would love for you to meet with our property managers during the next housing meeting. That would be phenomenal.
I welcome that. Thank you.
Have we got any questions from the community? Going once. Any questions or comments? Going once, going twice. Any other questions from commissioners? Seeing none. Thank you. Thank you so much for your time. I mean, we will be needing you in a conversation with building managers because they're dealing directly with youth. They're dealing directly with youth, and whatever is going on in their buildings. And so it'd be great for you to be able to have a conversation with them to help them figure out, just other, this is a good opportunity for the youth to just do, to just have other resources, community resources.
Please reach out, and I'll definitely loop in our partners at the Department of Youth Rehabilitative Services that has violence interventionist for juveniles, because we do primarily work with persons that are 18 to 40 years old, but there is overlap. But I definitely welcome the opportunity to strategize, to figure out how public safety as a whole can help our property managers. So thank you so much.
And anyone can reach out to you, not just ANC commissioners, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyone on the.
I'm a former moker, so I actually still stay up all night. So please feel free to call me anytime. I will answer. I haven't come down off of that yet. So.
Well, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you, and you will definitely hear from either, ANC commissioners or any of the community members. So thank you. And with that, we will now move to, I saw Councilmember Fruman, who is here, and I thank you for attending our meeting, Councilmember Fruman. You are on.
All right, well, wonderful. I had it down for 8:30 and the other thing finished early, and so we get to be ahead of schedule. That's a pretty great thing. Great to see you all. Great to see Marilyn, who I just met with and swore in yesterday. Congratulations, Marilyn. I think have fun. It's a great experience, as I said, being on the ANC. I want to just take a couple minutes to talk about the idea that I floated around the Intelsat building and see if folks had questions. I'm going to try to touch at different ANCs and just get reactions, explain it and get reactions. It's a radical idea. I'm not going to kid you. I became aware that the lab could be interested in purchasing the MacArthur High School site over on MacArthur Boulevard. And I had done a column in what was then the Northwest Current about moving lab to that site 8 years ago. It occurred to me that if you could get 50 million from lab and you had 75 million in avoided capital costs from building an addition at the MacArthur site, and you moved the high school to the Intelsat site, which has been built out as the Whittle School. And it would take some adjustment, but not a lot. And it was built out as like a magnificent school with all kinds of dance studios, black box theater, lots of different things like you would expect from a very hoped for prestigious private school. That if we could make that move and had that money and could get control of Intelsat, which is 660,000 square feet, and with the most green roof space of any place in the region, that we could use that site to do a lot of different positive things. We need a senior wellness center in Ward 3. It could fit nicely there. It had been a site for early childhood education. We could have that there. UDC has lots of uses that it would like to achieve there, maybe a dorm, maybe something else. That we could light up that site, which is in ANC3F, and really benefit the community and the city with all of the different things that we could do. I'm not trying to pretend like I can say exactly how it would be used, but if we could get it at a very reasonable price, there are many, many things it could be used for. Another one is the city's looking for food resiliency hubs, and the Intelsat building, which is a place where food can be stored, food can be brought in, processed, used to distribute to people who need access to food. The Intelsat site has a full loading dock that can accommodate a semi truck, and it has a fully built out commercial kitchen and lockers of cold storage. So folks in the city are looking at where could you put something like that. Well, one place that you could put a central food processing facility could be on that Intelsat site. And there are a lot of folks in the food security world who are operating in this area, and it really checks the box of where you might put a site like that. And another thing that folks at UDC have been looking at this building for a long time, and folks in the Causes program have said you could create a global showcase for urban agriculture and sustainability, with using the roofs, using the atriums, using different parts of the building. You could do something that would really be magnificent and really help UDC. Right now, the city hopes to open a paramedic school. And the question is, will it go? I believe the question is, will it go to Trinity or will it go to UDC? This could create a perfect place to put something like that. There's a big push to have a free Masters of Social Work program at UDC. Again, another kind of thing you could do there, particularly if you think it could fit nicely there. So what I'm trying to do right now is get the mayor and her team to think seriously about making a move like this. Fundamentally, I want the mayor and her team to think about getting the Intelsat building, whether or not you do this with the high school or not. The high school is a way to pay for this, and that, people have talked about getting the Intelsat building for a while, but now this creates a glimmer of how you could do it in an almost revenue neutral kind of way. So that's the idea that I put on the table. It affects ANC3F, I think, very positively, but that's my opinion. I wanted to come and talk with you about it, and if folks had questions, answer those questions. I suppose I'm here, so if folks have questions on other topics, I won't refuse to answer, but that was the topic that brought me here tonight.
Thank you, council member. So we will start with commissioners, and then we'll go to the community. See Commissioner Terry Hewitt has a question.
Thank you so much, Chair. Good evening, Council Member Freeman. How are you?
Good, nice to see you, Terry.
It's good to see you too. In reference to the paramedic academy, sounds absolutely phenomenal. I'm not certain if you're aware, but the firefighter academy used to be housed at UDC for a very long time, and it seems like it would be a strong complement, and maybe one day that firefighter academy will come back. But the paramedic academy being housed at UDC would be beneficial with the workforce development program. That would be a nice conduit. In reference to Intelsat, what's the timeline you're looking at for purchasing or negotiating at least?
Yeah, so I think that if the city were going to do this, do the whole thing, what some people have referred to as a hat trick, and sell the MacArthur School, I think a decision to do that needs to be made in this year or early January. I don't think you can't, I would not want to slow down MacArthur in any sort of way. Everything about MacArthur should be proceeding, but I think a decision would have to be made in a couple of months. And I think that's a good thing, actually, because I think the message it sends to the sellers is, if you're going to sell this building to the city, this is the moment. So give the very best price that you can. Also, people in the community. They've had a bumpy ride, and there's been uncertainty about how MacArthur was going to work. And MacArthur has been very successful. This is not a criticism of MacArthur in any kind of way. So you can't have it, that piece of it, drag on for long. So if you're going to do something like that, that would be a decision that had to be made very quickly. If that doesn't happen, then who knows? It could, getting the Intelsat building in a different way, that could be way further down the line, waiting for the seller to sit on it and lose money on it for a very long time, and for the price hopefully to come down.
Thank you so much for your time and your response.
There's a comment in the chat saying they can't see the DC government moving that fast.
Yes. So what would to make a decision in principle to do it, they can do that. In terms of implementing, like, it wouldn't be implemented that quickly. If you were going to make that pivot, it would take a while to execute, and you wouldn't have the students move into the school until not next year, but the year after that. I think that if they look at it and they think, I don't think it should take them that long to decide whether or not this is an opportunity that's worth taking. They know the building. They have toured the building. Every agency has toured the building. The city's been interested in the building for a while. So it's not like they go from 0 to 60 there. And I think that if the numbers look like they could make sense, where they could get the building without having to add a lot of new dollars to the budget, I think that's the kind of decision that they can make fast. But if they can't, then they can't, then it won't happen.
So what are the next steps? So you have this idea, then what? So
I put out a petition, and the petition, and the way I talk about it is the headline of I did an article in the DC line, and the article in the DC line links to a petition. And the title of the article is "Seize the Moment, Buy the Building." But actually what the petition is for is, please take a hard look at this. And so things people can do is sign that petition. Folks in the city government you felt comfortable emailing to say, like, this seems like an interesting idea. I hope you'll take a look at it. The mayor and her team, and the question about they don't move that quickly. I've been thinking about this for a little while, but for other people, this is brand new. So the idea that one would expect, I have foreshadowed it to folks in the administration and elsewhere, but the full thing has just been put on the table in the last week or so. And it's too much to expect somebody to say, oh, wow, yeah, let's do that. Like, they can't, that would be irresponsible. So I think they are very skeptical of the idea and would be very careful about it. But to the extent that they had a sense that, people are interested in this and maybe it's a thing worth looking at, then maybe they'll devote a month to 2 months to taking a hard look at it and seeing if they think it could work. So encouraging them to take that hard look, that's the key thing right now. So basically advocacy. Advocacy. Okay. Commissioner Hewitt.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would say what's lovely about your idea is that it does add additional vibrancy. It also connects Cleveland Park to Van Ness and to Wakefield and Forest Hills. So there's great potential, but and it sounds, well, there's no but. And it sounds like it will allow UDC and other venues and individuals just an opportunity to come together for various reasons. So thank you.
Yeah, and I will say, I mean, UDC is actually an important piece of this. That I met with former President Mason right after the primary, and we were in his office, and he pointed across the street at the Intelsat building at all the different possibilities it could have for UDC. I've been really trying to reach out to the new president of UDC, President Eddington, who I think is just sensational. I mean, I think that Ron Mason was great, and I think President Eddington really is too. And it's a mission for me to do everything I can to support UDC. And it's such an important institution for the city, and it's a really, really important institution for ANC3F and for Ward 3. And so we're really looking for ways to support them so they can be as successful as possible.
We appreciate council member.
Oh, I didn't see it. What
That was Juanita Gray. Commissioner Slotnick.
I just wanted to say that the opportunity that it has so many options. I did sign your petition.
Oh, thank you.
Juanita, did you have something that you wanted to follow up with?
No, I just wanted to thank the council member for his support.
All right, thank you. Council member, will you be doing more just informationals about this? Will there be anything, any visuals?
Well, if you go to the op-ed, and I don't know if, I think Christian from my office is here, maybe he could put the DC line story into the chat.
Okay.
And in the DC line story, there's a link to, there's a thing that says the building's for sale, and if you click on it, it takes you to the brochure that the broker uses, Constellation. What on my screen, it just shows like people, there's Christian's done it, so if you look in there, it shows, you know, I wonder if somebody could open it. Do you control the screen?
Yes,
Claudette?
anyone could do it. Christian could do it too. Let me
Okay, Christian, you want to open it and share your screen?
Let me do it right now. Let me do it right now.
Oh, it's not working for Christian. Oh, there. Yeah, great. Okay, so then go down a little bit. So that's the inside of one of the finished atriums. But you see where it says currently on the market?
Let's see if I can just make this bigger.
Oh, but if you go to where it's a little bit further down, that's what you're going to want to make bigger, where it says currently on the market. Oh.
I don't see
No, up above. Yeah, thanks. There you go.
Oh, yes, right here.
Yeah. Okay.
Can you
So
put in the
now,
switch? You see that?
yeah, I see it.
Okay.
So now you can see, now if you go a little down, scroll down, you see where it says gallery?
Yeah.
Click on gallery. So in terms of visuals.
Okay. Okay.
So that's the inside right now. It should keep going. That's one what we refer to as pod. That's the entryway.
Okay.
So And we have some, oh, that's what would be the auditorium. That's one of the unfinished spaces, but it's ready to go with all different kinds of, to be just a fabulous auditorium. And you can see the different, how it's been built out. The owners bought the building for $85 million and put 200 million into it. So now there are big areas that have not been touched, and that goes into what Marilyn was saying about, you know, blank piece of canvas that you could do lots of different things, and right by the metro, there's so much you could achieve using this site. So for right now, if sign the petition, get others to sign the petition, reach out if you have questions. My thing for the moment is just get the city to take a hard look at whether or not this is an opportunity that's worth seizing.
All right. Thank you so much for that. And just look forward to hearing more. Thank you. And who do we reach out to with any more questions?
You know, Christian, who's on here, you can reach out to Christian. And also, if you go to that story, you'll see the whole argument, and also there's a link there to the petition for people who might want to sign the petition.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for that update, and for the opportunity to discuss your ideas with us. We'll be in touch. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Moving on to the next item of our agenda is now items that we'll be voting on, and there are two special exceptions. We'll start with 2726 Brandywine Street, and then we'll go into the Sheridan School. Who will be speaking for 2726 Brandywine Street?
Chair David, Peter is on the line. He made a presentation last month, answered questions about the proposal, showed a plat of what was going to occur. I was going to make a motion to approve the special exemption.
Okay, there are no comments regarding that special exception. There are no opposition.
Peter indicated last time that everyone in the surrounding area were in favor of the special exemption.
Yeah, we've gotten no opposition that we know of.
You're here. I didn't know you were here. Okay.
Sorry. Yeah.
I just wanted to just do like a brief update because we do have a new commissioner.
Sure. Let me share my screen. I'll just go through it really quickly. I know we went through it last time.
Yeah.
All right. Can you see it?
Yes.
Great. All right. So 2726 Brandywine Street Northwest. We're asking for a special exception from the side yard setback, which is 24 feet in the aggregate, or 8 feet with no single side having less than 8 feet. Located at 2726 Brandywine Street in Forest Hills. Base map. This is owner occupied property. The house was originally built in 1934, 1935 completion, and it held those original setbacks from the side yard to the property line. And basically we're building on top of that. So we're adding 1-story addition here. We're raising the roof in this area here, a 2-story addition here, and then and this is all over the existing footprint of the house. And then this addition in the rear is a screen and porch addition, and that's gonna be off the rear of the property. I'll just kind of run through these. These are some elevations. We're doing some kind of traditional detailing in the front of the house, and going to be a little more contemporary and modern in the back. There are elevations of the screen and porch, images of the property. This is showing the adjacent property. To one side and then the other. Picture of the rear. Again, there's a lot of greenery between the two properties. Some more images up and down Brandywine Street. Some different architectural styles in the neighborhood. You know, some contemporary, some traditional, some modern. And then letters of support. So this is subject property, 2726 Brandywine Street. The owners ended up getting letters of support from all the properties highlighted in yellow, including the adjacent neighbors at 2720 Brandywine Street, 2710 Brandywine Street, and 2738 Brandywine Street. And these are the letters. And yeah, that's basically it.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Are there any questions from commissioners? Are there any questions from the community? Seeing none, Mitch, if you just can repeat your motion again.
I move that the ANC approve the special exemption requested for the property.
I second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? And the motion passes.
All right, great. Thank you.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the Sheridan School.
Hi, how are you? I'm Courtney.
Hi,
The head of
Courtney.
Sheridan School.
Yep. And you were with someone else too? Yep, Suzanne.
I am with Suzanne. So we just want to say thank you for taking the time to hear us tonight and consider our application. And in the interest of time, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Suzanne, who can give some more details on our project. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, first I wanted to welcome Commissioner Slatnick, who is filling a hole that I also wanted to acknowledge Commissioner Tendarek from 3F05, who has for a number of months been attending our neighborhood community liaison meetings and has, in the absence of a 3F01 commissioner, been sort of shepherding our application through. So thanks to him, maybe in absentia. I'm not sure he's still on the Zoom. I did also want to acknowledge and thank members of our neighborhood community who have been very engaged with us over the past 3 years, just in general neighborhood meetings, and have sort of followed along with this process from where it started as sort of an air quality project during COVID and has gone, progressed through a master planning to this proposal that is addressing not only air quality and accessibility, safety issues, and accessibility internally with a new elevator and sprinklering the building. It's become a bigger project that now involves, in this proposal, a narrow 2-story addition in the front of the building and a redesigned plaza in front that at DDOT's urgings eliminates the curb cuts and the front parking that currently exists at the entrance of the school, and restores the sidewalk and creates what we hope will be a really positive plaza for the neighborhood. I'm impressed by my predecessors and all of the great letters of support. I think you did receive, the commissioners will have received support from the New Morning Farm, which has been operating, has been hosted by Sheridan for, I think, 35 years. And since the last meeting, and since some concerns that came up in our community liaison group about, I sure hope the market's on board for this. We have gone over the plans with Jennifer Gleniston, and she is excited to reconfigure the market to fit the new plaza, and we've talked about what would happen during construction. So basically, Courtney and I are here to see if the commissioners or the members of the community have any questions about the application, which, because we're zoned residentially, we have to have a special exception to build the addition in the first place. And we're also, because we're an independent school, we're held to a higher parking standard than public and charter schools. So with the loss of the front parking spots, we are committing to engage with DDOT in the creation of a transportation demand management plan, where we will have a plan in place to steadily reduce the number of commuter cars who are coming to the school, and therefore reduce the need for on-site parking through various incentives, many of which we're already supporting, but which we will double down on for biking, metro passes, and other ideas that we hope to have in the TDM plan prior to the BZA hearing in November. The other special exception that we're requesting is relief from the penthouse screening requirement, because our plan involves replacing 4 old units with 3 newer, heating, ventilation, and AC units on the roof, replacing them with 3 newer units that, as we shared with the neighbors, just before the September meeting, we received the sound data that confirmed that these newer units will in fact be quieter than the ones that they're replacing. And for various other reasons, we're asking for relief from the penthouse screening requirement that may or may not be imposed for replacement rooftop heating and ventilation units. So
we're considering just one exception, special exception right now, though, right?
Well, the application has 3 special exceptions. One, to build the addition in the first place.
Right.
The second is relief from the parking, because our first proposal to DDOT included parking in front, and they don't want any parking. They want the plaza restored. So that means we enter into the transportation demand management plan to reduce car traffic and support alternate commuter means. The third special exception is the relief from the penthouse screening requirement. So all 3 are part of the application.
Okay, because I just know we spoke in detail about the parking, about the first two options. Did anything ever come out of the parking discussion? Because I know there was supposed to be follow-up with residents in the community.
Well, one of the things that I clarified just in an email is the issue in particular that was discussed at the last meeting was the possibility of lifting the Zone 3 restriction on our property boundary on Yuma Street. And that was something we mentioned in our application, but only in showing the history of the conversations that had taken place so far. That came up in a conversation with DDOT back in January, but that's not part of the transportation demand management plan. And it's not part of our application to the BZA. And it's not something that we're pursuing at this point because our focus is on reducing traffic and satisfying DDOT's requirements about that.
All right, are there any questions from commissioners? And then we'll do questions from the community.
I have a question, please.
Yes.
So the requirement to have your transportation plan is being requested by DDOT as part of the renovation or the expansion at the school. It wasn't something that you guys thought you needed to do, but DDOT required that.
Well, it's actually a code requirement. There's a part of the DC code, and I'm not an attorney, but there's a part of the code that specifies that, you know, even for schools in residentially zoned, if there's a reduction of more than 4 spots, then we are obligated to enter into a TDM plan with DDOT. And so that's what we're proposing to do, but we still need formal relief from the minimum number of parking spaces requirement.
Okay, I have one other question. As part of that plan, what is the compliance monitoring associated with it?
Excuse me. I don't know. I don't know that much yet about the plans, but I know that that there are targets that we have to meet, progressively tighter targets for car commuting reduction. And as we hit those annual benchmarks that are in the plan, I'm assuming that we have to report to DDOT and show the progress we have made.
Okay, so you have a compliance monitoring plan in place so that you can start counting cars that are coming to the school, and you'll be able to indicate if you've reduced the number that are coming?
Right. Well, we have, yeah, I again, we haven't completed the plan, and I don't know the particular details of how DDOT manages compliance. But if Stephen, I don't know, Stephen is with Advanced Project Management, who the school has just hired to help us through the construction and pre-construction phase.
So again, my name is Stephen Karch. I'm with Advanced Project Management. The compliance part will be part of the TDM, which is being developed concurrently with DDOT right now. Once DDOT approves the TDM, it will list out the specific compliance measures that they will require, how that reporting is to occur. And typically what I've seen is that reporting is also provided to the ANC.
So will the ANC have a figuratively another bite at the apple when we see the compliance plan? Or are we approving basically the project with an uncertainty of what the compliance plan looks like and how it will be implemented?
At this point, DDOT, the TDM plan is in progress with DDOT, so it is not here before you tonight for your review. It will be prepared and submitted to the BZA before their meeting.
Okay. I'm concerned, Chair David, that we're voting on an exemption that we really don't understand completely what the conditions of the stipulation or the exemption are, that we don't know what the compliance plan will be to comment on it, to see whether in fact it will accomplish what DDOT is asking for the school. I have no other further comments, though.
I think that Elaine is trying to be heard in Maryland.
I'm sorry, I'm on mute. Commissioner Sladnick, you can speak.
Oh, thank you. I agree with Commissioner Bayer on the subject that I don't feel that we know enough. I'm also wondering, with this expansion, will it not increase the number of students?
No, we're not asking for that. This is driven by we have no handicap accessibility, we have no elevator, we have no building sprinklers, we have inadequate outdoor air quality, outdoor air supply. We have no physical security for a security vestibule to provide any entrance safety. The building has has been in need of these upgrades, and one of the ways we went through this master planning to build just a narrow addition that allows us to add the security vestibule. We originally tried to propose to DDOT a plan that would allow us to add this addition without losing the front parking. It was at DDOT's insistence that the front parking spaces be removed, and that's why in this application we are applying for relief from the minimum parking spots requirement. Because of the spots we're losing in front, we still have all of the ones in the back. We just don't have any place else where we can add replacement slots for the ones that we're losing in the front. And as an aside, we could be doing, DDOT would want those curb cuts and those parking spots removed because it's part of their vision. It's considered unsafe. They want the sidewalk restored. And so it's not the TDM plan in particular that is being voted on by the BZA. It's the relief from that for the 7/8 spots that we're losing in front.
Have you actually had any meetings with the the neighborhood that surrounds the school on this whole subject?
We've had quite a lot. We've been meeting about 4 or 5 times a year for the past 4 years. I know we're meant to meet once under our current zoning order, but all through COVID and just since I've been at the school, we've met on a regular basis. Elaine Greenstone's here. I saw Sharon Yanagi earlier, and she and her husband Alan Yu have been pretty regular attendees at the at our meetings, and the Turnhams are on, and so we certainly are committed and thank them for their engagement on so many issues, and certainly intend to continue that engagement as this moves forward.
I also agree that with Commissioner Baer that this is not clear in terms of our making a decision this evening.
When is the next meeting to consider this special exemption?
The BZA hearing is November 15th.
It's November 15th. Because what's happening too is, so you have Commissioner Slotnick, who just was appointed, who, you know, it falls within, this is within her SMD, and Commissioner Tanderick is not in tonight to be able to help you. So we might just have to revisit this so that Commissioner Slackner could just be up to date on this. So she just has a better understanding on what's going on.
And I will say that is in my area, and I have heard losing 8 parking spaces matters, and also I've heard opposition from neighbors, but I haven't heard the whole picture.
If I could chime in quickly, Liz Rogers, for the record, working with Sheridan School on this. Regarding the TDM plan, that's something that we'll be working with DDOT on. It's not like we meet the findings for approval of a parking waiver. The TDM plan basically puts in extra measures, which DDOT's going to basically determine that what they think is appropriate based on the parking relief that we're seeking, what measures we need to implement to encourage additional non-auto driver mode vehicle trips coming to the site. And as Suzanne mentioned, the school's already doing a lot of those things, and we've had conversations with DDOT. They're very supportive of the parking waiver request. They're also very supportive of the application, given the pedestrian safety improvements we're making by minimizing those vehicular conflicts in front of the school by closing those access points, which obviously results in the reduction of parking. So that's not something that's typically always finalized before the BZA. As Suzanne mentioned, we are working closely with them to have it finalized, but it's kind of an ongoing dialogue with DDOT. We'll have a transportation coordinator who's assigned, which will continue to communicate with the community, with DDOT, with Go DC Go, to implement and make sure that we're implementing those measures. So it's really more of an evolving process than something that's tied specifically just to the special exception.
Is there anyone in the community who live in that area who could speak to the parking? Because that's what Commissioner Slotnick just mentioned. She's being updated. So Commissioner Hewitt.
Waving, but Elaine, you're on mute.
Oh, Elaine. Elaine, if you can unmute yourself. You're muted. We can't hear you. Let me see.
Looks like she's frozen.
Okay. I guess now she's frozen. Sorry. Commissioner Hewitt, if you can just ask your question.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening. Please forgive me,
Oh,
Suzanne.
unmuted,
Oh,
finally.
okay.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry,
I
Commissioner Hewitt.
wanted to appreciate how the school has been working with us. And we did talk quite a bit about what we on Yuma Street have been objecting to, and that would be a special exception in order for the school to use parking on the street, the quiet, very narrow street. I appreciate how much the school has worked with us and has recently said that is not something that they are seeking. That is not part of one of the mitigations they are looking forward to applying because of the limitation that they're going to have on the parking and the loss of the, they claim 7 spaces in front of the school. We were worried at first because in past dealings with other people at the school, not quite as trustworthy as we have currently, we were told there'd be 6 parents parking on our street mornings and pickup times. When we agreed to a particular exception some years ago, turned out that there were from 28 to 32 cars regularly. So we were worried, was this going to be a problem? And so we tried to ask for either assurance that very few cars would be parked, that they would be starting at 36th Street, not go up the street completely, going up completely as they first were requesting would have taken 15 car spaces. And we worried about that and further intrusion. However, I have to say that the school has been assuring us that this is not something that they are seeking, and we are hoping that we will be spared that further intrusion. I guess that's about it. I'm sorry that more of my neighbors could not make it this evening.
No worries. Thank you. Thank you so much for that comment. I don't know if that helps Commissioner Baer, Commissioner Slatnick a little bit. Commissioner
I would like to see Commissioner Slatnick have some time to look into it and to give us the reassurance that we are being heard.
Thank you, Commissioner Hewitt.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I'm Suzanne, if I may, and please forgive me for addressing you by your first name. The question I is, you mentioned the heating, ventilation, and what I guess what I should say first is that what I hear is there is a need to be in compliance with ADA is part of it, as well as the security component. But I also heard in reference to the HVAC and heating that were ventilation emphasized about the ventilation. And I'm just curious, over the years, with the ventilation system you have now, had there been some either health issues or just in general, or just air quality issues that also should be highlighted or at least mentioned as to why that is important to you? I know the age, I'm certain, is part of it. Just curious.
Well, when COVID hit, the first thing we did was bring in engineers to weigh in on how well we met the new, there's a professional organization called ASHRI that sets standards for air quality, circulation, ventilation, filtration, that were upgraded in the face of COVID. And our building does not have enough fresh outside air. And so our process has been, our replacement units will be dedicated outdoor air supplies that funnel fresh air into the systems, into the classrooms. What we did as interim measures until these fixes could be made, until we could get this project approved and going, we've bought hospital grade air scrubbers, HEPA filtration devices. We have improved the air quality through stopgap measures. Like the air scrubbers are very noisy. They're not ideal for classrooms. And so this is a necessary fix. If it's not COVID, it's the flu, it's allergies, it's carbon dioxide. There are a lot of things that go into these requirements, and those are the things that will be addressed with our new DOAS systems. And these are things that have been happening all through the city since COVID in public schools, charter schools, and independent schools.
Thank you. So it sounds like it's something that isn't just a matter of heat and air and ventilation. It's also for improved academic environment because of the noise. It's also just everyday livelihood for faculty, staff, and students. So it's not a small thing. Thank you for explaining that.
Thank you. Paul Harrison.
Hi, thanks, Chair David. Hi, everyone again. Just for disclosure, I don't live right next to the school, but my son does attend. We walk or bike about 80% of the time, drive about 20% of the time when we're running late. If you have a 9-year-old, you know what that's about. I just wanted to, if I can quickly show something on the screen,
yes,
which is that DDOT, clearly, obviously, this is from the official program. It shows here that the plans are goal-based, and then they have to report. And if they're not meeting their goals, the plans are revised. So DDOT's process does require revision if the target reductions in car traffics are not met. So there is an accountability standard built into that process. And then I also just would like to urge everyone to keep in mind that delaying this process will cost the school money and time and energy. And so I think the need for security and the need for handicap access, ADA access, the school prides itself in being inclusive. So if it can't offer this kind of education, I think a quarter to a third of our tuition goes to financial aid. So if we can't invite those kids into the school, that's a loss for the community and for the mission of the school. And also, obviously, the security matter, in a world where kids have to practice active shooter drills and a school can't be properly secured, that's an issue. So I'd encourage you to move this forward and continue having the school work with its neighbors to be a good neighbor on the parking issues. Thanks.
Thank you, Paul, and I appreciate you just adding that bit about DDOT and just information on DDOT going back to the compliance plan and making changes if whatever they have set out to do doesn't meet the goal. They'll revisit the goal. Commissioner Tenderick.
Hey everyone. Yeah, and I also want to add on to Paul's comments too. Like, I had the privilege to be able to work with Suzanne the past couple of months, and she's been working with the community to make sure that these standards are up to date, making sure that she's getting community inputs, and definitely like what Paul said too, like the point that is about safety, right? It's modernization, right? It's moving forward with their community, and so I also agree too that like we should be able to vote on it tonight. I mean, I plan on voting yes. Like, this is a way to help make sure this community feels safer in its building, for its students, for its families. And to me, like, this would be like the best way to be able to go.
Thank you for that, Commissioner Tender. Commissioner Hewitt, did you have a additional?
I would only say, I would sort of piggyback, thank you, Chairman David. It is, and Paul, thank you so much for that added information, because it comes across as this is not a one and done. If we vote on it, there's always this review. This is not about one house or one entity. This is about many children, not including staff and faculty that it'll affect. It's more just a comment. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Commissioner Slotnick, do you have any additional comments, questions?
Apparently Elaine Greenstone is the only one that's representing the community, or not representing, but hear from the community. I just wanted to be assured that the community had truly been involved in this process.
Hi.
Yes.
I'm sure my video is working, but I'm a neighbor on Alton. My name is Sharon Yanagi, and I wanted to say that Suzanne and the school have met with us regularly and have been very cooperative. This TDM is something that I think came up rather recently. I wasn't aware of it, after the last meeting, and would just want to sort of get more information from the school separately on how that is going to evolve.
Any follow-up questions? Because the last meeting we did go in depth with this with community members as well. So Commissioner Tenderick has had to be the commissioner to step in and make sure that there is community support in this. And we're hearing that the school has been working in lockstep with the community as well, which was highlighted by Ms. Elaine Greenstone. Because normally what happens with the commission is when we'll first talk about the issue and go in depth with visuals, and we'll have a community discussion. And then the second part, which is where we are now, is just where we've already got the discussion, but we're just going to vote. But because you, Commissioner Slotnick, has just been elected, and this is in your SMD, I just wanted to make sure that, you're having to hit the ground running, but that you're up to speed and knowing that we did fill in for when we didn't have a commissioner in 3F01, and that was Commissioner Tenderick doing a lot of the legwork, so that you don't feel like a decision is being made without being thorough. Commissioner Tenderick.
Yeah, just one more thing to add, and Commissioner Slatt, like what I can do is I can put you on the Google listserv that has all the Sheridan neighbors group. Suzanne Bordeaux leads it, and I've known about this issue probably since at least April, May of this year, and she has conducted multiple community meetings. There have been several neighbors on the call. Numerous discussions have been made. So Suzanne school has definitely had numerous conversations with people from the community in several different ways. And so, this has been a conversation that has been ongoing at least for a few months now. It hasn't been just out of nowhere like this one, the last one. It's been ongoing for at least a couple of months.
And we've also gotten emails, but because you're not set up just yet, Commissioner Slotnick, you should see the emails when you log in, but there were several community approval letters that we've been receiving within the past couple of days. Commissioner Bayer and then Commissioner Hewitt.
I was just gonna call the motion, call the issue, call the motion.
Let me let Commissioner Hewitt speak, and then Elaine, did you have something to say? Okay, she's on mute. Elaine, you're on mute. Commissioner Hewitt, real quick, if you can just make your statement quickly.
I can indeed. Commissioner Slotnick, one, congratulations. Two, last month, ANC, the Sheridan School provided a detailed brief, and there were a plethora of neighbors on the call in support or providing their position on the school, if that helps. Thank you.
And with that said, Commissioner Bayer.
I'd just like to make a motion to call the question and vote on the exemption.
Is there a second? Terry?
Second.
James, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? One abstention, and the motion passes. So thank you. Thank you, everyone from the Sheridan School. Thanks for taking the time, and I'm just gonna remove you right now. And I want to say thank you. We're at the end of the meeting. Thank you so much to community members. And the next meeting will actually be on November 28th. And Commissioner Tenderick, if you could follow up with Commissioner Slotnick to just get her up to speed as soon as you can.
Will do.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Please have a, oh, no. Is there a motion to end the meeting?
So moved.
Oops, sorry.
Is there a second?
I second it.
All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? And the motion passes. Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Have a good night. Thanks.